The final episode of The House of Dragons Season 1 had a lot going on. From the death of King Viserys Targaryen to the ascension of Prince Aegon. From Aemon's attack to Rhaenyra Targaryen's dragon baby and angry revenge stare, the episode was just insane. But none of those were as crazy as the ferocious dragons that we'll say at the end. Hello, and welcome to my channel. Today we'll bring you yet another House of the Dragon video, in which we'll break down the identity of the dragon shown at the end of Season 1 finale, when Daemon enters the mysterious place while singing. Let's get started. Throughout the House of Dragons, we've seen and heard multiple dragons. There were Caraxes, Sea Smoke, Melees, and many more. And while most of these dragons have different appearances and features, they did have somewhat the same size. They are not exactly the same size, but they're close enough. The only exceptions were Aemon's Vhagar and the dead dragon of King Viserys, Balerion. It's said that these two dragons were much larger than most dragons, as they were from a much earlier generation. By that logic, the dragon we saw at the end of Season 1 finale can't be the present generation either. He was large and, to be frank, looked somewhat aged. So it cannot be a new dragon that Daemon kept as his final ace. There wasn't a mountain of bones around it, which further ruled out the possibility of it being a wild dragon. Another thing that hints at the identity of the dragon is the song Daemon sang to it. The song is named Haros Batosi, which roughly translates to "with three heads." The song is an old Valyrian, which means that the dragon is older. We have a link in the description along with the translation if you'd like to read it. If we judge by the looks, this dragon was larger than usual but smaller than Vhagar, which implies it's a second-generation dragon. It has large outward teeth, which looks kind of similar to that of Balerion, which is also a giveaway. Talking about its skin, the dragon didn't get much screen time, but if you slow down the frame, you can see the dragon has yellowish eyes and dark reddish golden scales, which kind of looks like bronze. And there is only one dragon that was said to have such an appearance, the Bronzy Fury, otherwise known as Vermithor. And that would also align with the books. According to the books used for the show, this dragon should be Vermithor, the dragon previously ridden by King Jaehaerys the Wise. We can't be sure the same is true for the show since the series has made some major changes. In keeping the basic concept and some characters but not following the book word for word, however, Vermithor played a major part in the coming battles, and we can assume that the series creators won't replace it. Moreover, the books describe this dragon as furious, large, ugly, and very powerful, all of which fit perfectly with the dragon we saw in the small clip. The intensity of the fire breath of this dragon in the scene was enough to establish its superiority to most dragons in the series so far. Now, the dragon is not much talked about in the series, and we don't know if the show's makers are going to change any of the roles in Dance of the Dragons, so let's stick to the books till next season. It will give you a gist of the dragon's power and why Daemon has it. Bronze Fury hatched from an egg placed in Jaehaerys Targaryen's cradle. According to the timeline in the book, it happened around 34 AC, and the dragon egg was selected and placed in the cradle by Jaehaerys' sister Rhaena. The dragon, being a second generation, was furious and unmatched by most in brute strength. However, due to circumstances, it remained inactive for over a decade. You see, Jaehaerys and his sister Alysanne, along with their mother, were living at Dragonstone as hostage of Queen Visenya Targaryen. They were set free amidst the chaos of the queen's death in 44 AC. Jaehaerys and his sister took with them Vermithon and Silverwing while fleeing Dragonstone. Although even during this time, Vermithor was not completely bonded with Jaehaerys. The dragon accepted Jaehaerys as its rider in around 48 AC. Somewhat around the same time, Jaehaerys made his claim for the Iron Throne. The dragon became his companion and stayed with Jaehaerys for the rest of his life. Jaehaerys used the dragon to establish his power in the Seven Kingdoms and flew him to both King's Landing and Winterfell. Vermithor was also part of several lovers' chases between Jaehaerys and his wife Alysanne, who was riding Silverwing. And yes, that's the same Alysanne who escaped with Jaehaerys. The sister becoming a wife is a pretty common thing for House of the Dragons and Game of Thrones watchers. Anyway, back to the dragons. Jaehaerys died in 103 AD, making Vermithor riderless. Neither Jaehaerys' son nor any in the kingdom could claim the dragon, and the few who tried turned to crisps. From this point, there's not much data on the dragon, except it moved to Dragonstone and started living in smoking caverns. It was briefly mentioned in Season 1 in House of the Dragon. It wasn't a particular topic and just came up during a conversation, so you might have missed it. But again, that doesn't matter much. We did see Daemon entering the caverns while singing when the mysterious dragon appeared. This pretty much established the whereabouts of Vermithor. Which reminds us, why do you think Daemon was singing to the dragon? We mean, Daemon isn't exactly the singing type. If you have any ideas, do let me know in the comment section. As for our theory, we think he sang to the dragon to calm it down. We know Daemon plans to use Vermithor in the Dance of the Dragons battle, and for that, he needs to be on good terms with the dragon. No surprises there, the dragon was big enough to turn Daemon's whole army into pieces of coal. Anyways, the dragon has been in solitude for decades and has lost almost every contact with people. His era of flying in the sky has long ended, and as such, a song from old Valyria might be the best thing to tell the dragon that he's still remembered. Again, we don't have concrete proof of the theory, so we might be wrong, but it's the best suitable explanation. Besides, it does resonate with Vermithor's story in the books. In the script, Daemon managed to bring out the dragon. He couldn't ride it due to his bond with Caraxes, so he declared that anyone who could tame Vermithor could ride it, provided the rider bowed down to Rhaenyra. And as we know from both the books and the show, Rhaenyra and Daemon did declare that anyone who could ride the dragon will be rewarded with land and wealth for their support in the upcoming war. Many contenders came forth to claim Vermithor just like other wild dragons. Although, unlike the wild dragons, Vermithor was not that kind. He just burned all of them with his breath. At last, a bastard who went by the name Hugehammer. Huge, along with Vermithor, became great allies for Rhaenyra and were there when the King's Landing fell. However, after this, both of them changed sides. As time passed, the power of Vermithor got to Huge's head, and he even tried to claim the throne for himself. Amidst the loss of Aemon and King Aegon II's gone missing, it was a great opening to get the crown, or that's what Huge thought. It obviously didn't turn out the way he expected. Well, can't say it wasn't a huge surprise. Nothing ever goes according to plan in this series. Huge was attacked by an army of 400 men and slain in the name of the king in a surprise attack. The army led by Adam Valerian made sure Huge couldn't reach his dragon. As for his dragon, the army tried to tame it after Huge's death, and we all know how that would have turned out. The army managed to sneak attack the half-asleep dragon, but that just enraged him. However, before Vermithor could escape, he was attacked by sea smoke from above, and then Tessarion joined in. The two dragons were no match for Vermithor's brute strength. Sea smoke lost his life, while Tessarion paid with his ability to fly. Luckily, the losses were not in vain. The two dragons managed to inflict mortal wounds, and we believe that's how the story of Vermithor ended. It would be interesting to see how the series depicts this powerhouse dragon and what kind of changes they will make to his role. What are your views on it? Do you think that the series makers will stick with the books with Vermithor or make some changes to its rider and story? Moreover, do you think that it will risk changing the dragon's identity? We mean, how crazy would it be if the mysterious dragon turned out to be cannibal? And what if they make Daemon ride this dragon instead of other people? That would be totally insane and somehow soothing. Considering Daemon's character, both cannibal and Vermithor suit him. But hey, that's just our theory.